Bullies pick on new black boy, regret it instantly when he fights back. It only took 12 seconds for everything to change. Tyler Grant didn't see it coming, not the punch, not the pivot, and definitely not the part where his best friend Logan hit the ground so hard that the echo made even Ty stop mid-step. 1 second they were cornering the new kid behind the gym, puffed up and ready to make a point. The next, the new kid had moved like something out of a movie. Fast, quiet, efficient. Tyler tried to step in. Big mistake. A single twist, an elbow to the ribs, and he was on the pavement, gasping for air while the new kid stood there. Not smug, not even proud. Just calm. Breathing steady. That was the scariest part. No rage, no shouting. Just silence. 12 seconds. And that was the beginning of the end for the version of the story Tyler had been telling since Monday. 4 days earlier, Jordan Miles had walked through the front doors of Riverdale High and no one had cared. No special announcements, no curious stares, just another new face in the hallway. He wore a navy hoodie that had lost its shape in the wash, jeans slightly faded at the knees, and sneakers that had definitely seen better days. He kept his head low and moved like someone who'd learned the cost of attention, the kind of kid who checked for exits the second he stepped into a room. And yet, for all that effort to go unnoticed, he was already the topic of hushed hallway conversations by third period. He was quiet, too quiet, didn't laugh when other kids did, ate alone. That made him a target. Jordan had transferred mid-semester from South Chicago after his mom passed away, and his guardian, Uncle Malik, moved them to Indiana to get a fresh start. Riverdale was the kind of town with clean lawns, a decent football team, and kids who'd never had to ride public transit in their lives. Jordan might as well have walked in with a spotlight over his head. The first real incident happened on Wednesday. Lunchroom. Spaghetti day. Jordan sat at a table in the far corner of the cafeteria, tray in front of him, minding his business. "Yo," a voice called out. Loud, arrogant, confident. Tyler Grant stood about 10 feet away, his varsity jacket unzipped just enough to show the tight-fitted school tee underneath. He was the kind of boy whose laugh always seemed rehearsed, like he knew everyone was watching. "You bring that from home, or did they run out of real food before you got here?" A few scattered laughs followed. Jordan didn't respond. He kept eating, slowly. "Hey," another voice chimed in. Logan, shorter and scrappier, with a crew cut and a look that said he followed orders more than made them. "You deaf or just rude?" Jordan looked up for only a moment, met Logan's eyes, then picked up his milk and stood. No words, no scene, just gone. That unsettled them more than if he'd snapped. "Yo," Tyler muttered under his breath. "What is up with that kid?" By Friday, Jordan had already been called 3 different nicknames: Silent J, Ghost, and, behind his back, the Probation Kid. None of them were true, but no one cared. During gym, Coach Reynolds paired Jordan with Tyler for basketball drills. "Let's see what the new guys got," Tyler smirked, bouncing the ball a little too hard at Jordan's chest. Jordan caught it clean. "Just passing, right?" "Sure, just passing." When Jordan passed it back, the ball hit Tyler's chest with a quiet thump, dead on and harder than expected. "All right," Tyler muttered, rubbing the spot. "Cool." He smiled like it was a joke, but he didn't mean it. By the time Monday rolled around, gum had shown up in Jordan's locker. Someone had written FREELUNCHBOY in dry erase marker across his desk, and in history class a crumpled paper ball smacked him in the back of the neck. No one owned up to it. Still, Jordan said nothing. At home, Uncle Malik could see it on his face. The way he held his shoulders too tight, the way his jaw clicked as he chewed. "Rough week," Jordan nodded. Malik didn't ask more. He slid the living room table aside and pointed at the old training mats. "Let it out." Jordan trained without saying a word. Hooks, slips, elbows, footwork, controlled, sharp, focused. When they paused, Malik handed him a towel. "You know you're not here to prove anything, right?" "I know. But if someone corners you, you do what you have to. Just remember, don't let the fight choose you." Jordan nodded again. By Thursday, the tension at school was thick enough to taste. Rumors started flying. Jordan had a record. Jordan had been expelled from his last school. Someone even claimed he once broke a teacher's jaw. None of it was true, but the story that Tyler was weaving painted Jordan as dangerous, and dangerous meant different things when your skin was darker than most. That's why Friday mattered. Jordan stayed behind after sixth period to help the janitor, Mr. Torres, move a few desks. He didn't want to deal with the hallway stairs. He didn't want the crowd. That's exactly why Tyler planned it for then. When Jordan stepped out behind the gym, backpack slung low, he saw them waiting. Tyler, Logan, and Ty Harmon, the third wheel with too much to prove and not enough brains to keep quiet. They stood like they were just hanging out, like they weren't waiting to ambush someone. Jordan paused 10 feet away. His eyes scanned their hands, their feet, the space between them. "You think you're too good to answer when I talk to you?" Tyler called out. Jordan didn't reply. "You think this is Chicago or something? You're in Riverdale now, boy." The word hit like a slap. Jordan exhaled. "You got something to say," he said. "Say it. Otherwise, let me pass." Logan shoved forward first. Bad move. In less than 2 seconds, Jordan stepped inside Logan's reach, turned, and used the boy's own momentum to send him to the ground. A thud. A yelp. Logan was down. Ty didn't finish the curse he was starting. He froze, but Tyler didn't. He charged. Jordan ducked the swing, pivoted, and caught Tyler clean in the ribs with a short elbow strike that sounded like a dull crack. Now they were both on the ground. And Jordan just stood there, calm, quiet. Mr. Evers, the assistant principal, turned the corner at that exact moment. "What the hell is going on here?" Jordan didn't speak. Tyler groaned. Logan held his side. Jordan just looked at the adults like they were already too late. Because they were. By Monday morning, Riverdale High wasn't buzzing. It was boiling. The fight behind the gym had spread faster than any wildfire, but the version that echoed through the halls didn't match what actually happened. Somehow, Jordan had become the villain. Not the kid who got cornered, not the one who held back. Just the quiet new kid who suddenly snapped. "He's got anger issues," someone whispered in the hallway. "I heard he used to be in juvie." "I saw the video," another kid said near the lockers. "Dude moved like a trained killer. It was scary." The problem was, no one was talking about what led up to it, only what happened after. Jordan walked through the front doors with the same calm he always carried, but he could feel it. The way eyes followed him longer now, the way conversations stopped when he got close. Even the teachers looked at him differently, like they'd been warned but didn't know how to act. In homeroom, Mr. Banks cleared his throat as Jordan took his seat. "Jordan," he said cautiously, "could you step outside a moment?" Jordan's chest tightened slightly, but he nodded. In the hallway, the school counselor, Mrs. Dupree, was waiting with a clipboard and that too gentle smile adults use when they think you're about to break. "Just want to check in," she said. "Make sure you're okay." Jordan didn't answer right away. He looked down the hallway at the other students peeking through the window of the classroom door. "Yeah," he said eventually. "I'm okay." "Good. Good," she said too quickly. "We just want to be sure you feel safe here. Sometimes transferring mid-year can be difficult." Jordan looked her dead in the eye. "I didn't start that fight. Her smile wavered. "We know it's complicated." "It's not," he said simply, then added, "if anyone actually asks." That silenced her. She blinked, then made a note on her clipboard and told him he could go back to class. But it wasn't over. By lunch, the whispers had morphed into something bigger. There was now a post on the school's private student forum, grainy footage of the fight, shot from behind a dumpster. It only showed the takedown, not the provocation. Not Logan's shove, not Tyler's charge. Just 3 boys and 1 black kid standing while the others hit the ground. The caption read, "Guess who thinks he's Bruce Lee now?" The comments stung more than the fight ever had. "Dude's scary. He's a problem. Should have stayed wherever he came from." Jordan saw it all during study hall. He didn't comment, didn't repost. He just closed the laptop slowly and stared at the screen like it might explain why people believed lies faster than the truth. After school, he didn't wait for the bus. He walked. The cold bit at his fingers, but the air felt cleaner than the school hallways. He cut through an alley near the corner store and sat on a low brick wall behind it, hood up, fists in his jacket pockets. He didn't cry, didn't scream. He just sat. "Rough day?" a voice asked behind him. He turned. It was Uncle Malik, standing beside his beat-up truck, arms crossed, eyes soft. "You followed me." "Call it a hunch," Malik said. "You didn't take the bus. You didn't go to the gym. And you didn't text. So, yeah, I followed." Jordan looked down. "They think I'm dangerous." "Are you?" "No. You look dangerous when you fight." "I was trying not to fight," Jordan muttered. Malik nodded slowly, walking over and sitting beside him. "But sometimes people only remember the storm, not the sky before it." Jordan stayed quiet. "They say you're angry." "You angry?" He thought about it. "Not really. More tired." Malik reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I found this tucked into our mailbox this morning. No name, just this." Jordan took it, unfolded it. It was a printout of the fight screenshot from the student forum, but with a different caption written across it in pen. "Ask what really happened." Jordan stared at it. Someone had seen the truth. Someone cared enough to push back. "You're not alone," Malik said, "even if it feels like it right now." Back at school the next day, something unexpected happened. In the hallway near the library, Jordan passed Delaney Foster. Quiet girl, big glasses, always sketching something in the margins of her notebooks. She barely ever looked up, let alone spoke. But today, she did. "I was there," she said, her voice low but clear. Jordan stopped walking. "I saw what happened, all of it, from behind the dumpster. I saw Logan push you first. I saw Tyler swing. I just didn't say anything." Jordan blinked. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because everyone's lying, and you didn't deserve this." He didn't know what to say. She shrugged, looking away. "I told the assistant principal. They're going to call you back in." And then she walked off like she hadn't just changed everything. Later that afternoon, when Jordan was called to the office again, he expected more of the same. Accusations, warnings, judgments. But this time Mr. Evers looked different. "We're reevaluating what happened Friday," he said carefully. "There's been a new statement submitted." Jordan didn't smile. He didn't relax. He just nodded, once. Outside the office, Tyler was pacing, red-eyed, jaw clenched. He turned when he saw Jordan. "You think this makes you some kind of hero?" he hissed. "No," Jordan said flatly. "Just not your target." Tyler stared, mouth opening to speak, but nothing came out. Because maybe, just maybe, he finally realized the kid he thought was easy to break wasn't here to play his game. Not anymore. By Wednesday, Jordan Tolliver wasn't just a name being whispered in the halls. He was a rumor with legs. Students didn't walk past him anymore. They steered around him. Teachers didn't ask him to answer questions. They skipped over his name. It wasn't fear, exactly, more like a discomfort they didn't know how to handle. A walking reminder that they'd all seen something they didn't want to understand. Jordan kept his head down, as always. But now he could feel the shift everywhere. In gym class, Coach Myers told him to warm up solo. No partner, no explanation. He dribbled a basketball alone on the far end of the court, the echo of the bounce sounding more like a warning shot than a rhythm. Across the court, Brock Simmons leaned in to whisper something to Logan and Tyler, both of whom hadn't said a word since Monday. Logan's lip was still bruised and his pride looked worse. Tyler avoided eye contact altogether. Brock, on the other hand, looked energized. He didn't care about what really happened. What mattered to him was control, and Jordan had taken that away. And Brock? He wasn't the type to let go of control without making someone pay. Later that day, a new post showed up on the school's anonymous forum. It was a screenshot from the video, zoomed in on Jordan's face mid-fight, jaw set, eyes locked. Caption: "He doesn't belong here." Hashtags: "Threat," "Riverdale problem," "On get them out." That night, Jordan sat on the floor of his room with the lights off, the glow from his phone screen lighting his face. The comments kept refreshing. "He's got serious issues. Why's no one doing anything about this? My mom says we need security now, just in case." He locked the phone and set it face down. The silence in the room wrapped around him like a second hoodie. From the hallway, Malik called out, "Food's up." Jordan didn't move. A minute later, Malik walked in carrying 2 plates and set one beside him. Fried chicken, greens, cornbread. The kind of meal that usually made Jordan's shoulders drop a little. Not tonight. "They're trying to get me kicked out," Jordan said without looking up. Malik didn't blink. "Because you fought back?" "Because I exist," Jordan replied. "Because I don't smile when they insult me. Because I don't laugh at their jokes or flinch when they push." Malik took a bite of cornbread, chewed slowly. "You know what that means? That I'm alone." "No," Malik said. "It means you scare people who are used to being louder than the truth." The next morning, Jordan was called into the front office again. He expected it. What he didn't expect was who was already waiting. His mother. She sat on a bench in her tailored coat, eyes sharp, lips pressed into a tight line. She stood when she saw him. "They called me at work," she said, skipping hello. "Said you're facing a disciplinary hearing." "That true?" Jordan nodded once. "Yeah. I left a meeting with the head of compliance for this," she said, and he could feel the mix of worry and fury under her voice. In the conference room, Principal O'Hara sat with 2 assistant principals and a district representative. Their faces were stiff, neutral. "Ms. Tolliver," O'Hara began, "thank you for coming in." "Cut to it," she said. "What exactly are you accusing my son of?" The district rep cleared her throat. "There have been several reports regarding Jordan's behavior, the altercation last week, his conduct afterward. Some students and faculty have expressed concern." "Concern," his mother echoed. "For what? That he defended himself after being cornered, or that he didn't crumble the way they expected?" Jordan said nothing. Watching his mom speak was like watching a lawyer in court. Calm, direct, lethal with words. "We've received new witness statements," O'Hara admitted. "One student submitted a report indicating that Jordan was not the aggressor. We are reviewing everything before making a final decision." "That's the least you can do," she said. Afterward, in the parking lot, she turned to Jordan. "You should have told me. You were busy. I'm never too busy for this." They stood in silence for a moment. Then she reached out and rested a hand on his shoulder. "I'm proud of you," she said quietly. "You held the line." Jordan blinked. I thought you'd be mad. I am, she said, but not at you. I'm mad it takes a fight to get people to notice you were being bullied in the first place. The next day, Delaney approached Jordan in the hallway again. This time, she held a copy of her written statement. I sent this to the board this morning, she said. I figured they might lose it otherwise. He took it, eyes scanning her careful handwriting. Why are you helping me? He asked. She shrugged. Because someone should have helped me once and no one did. Jordan nodded. He didn't say thank you. She didn't expect him to. That Friday, another post showed up online. A new video. Same fight. But this time it started earlier. Just enough to show Logan pushing Jordan first. Caption: the truth they tried to hide. No one knew who posted it. The account was blank, created that morning. But by lunch it had 12,000 views and had made its way into teacher inboxes. Jordan watched the numbers climb from the far table in the cafeteria. This time, when he looked up, people didn't turn away. They looked him in the eye, and a few of them nodded, just slightly. Quiet recognition. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. By Monday morning, something had shifted in the air at Willow Creek High. The school still looked the same. Red brick walls, half-lit hallways, students crowding lockers and whispering too loud. But Jordan Tolliver noticed it the second he stepped through the front doors. The silence had changed. It wasn't the silence of dismissal anymore. It was the silence that came just before the ground starts to move. The edited video had already made the rounds, but the full clip, the one showing Logan shoving him first, had cracked a hole in the narrative. It didn't go viral citywide, but inside those school walls, it traveled faster than gossip at a lunch table. And it reached the teachers, too. Mr. Riley, his chemistry teacher, paused when he saw Jordan walk in. "Good to see you, Tolliver," he said in a voice loud enough for the rest of the class to hear. Jordan blinked. That was new. In third period, the girl who used to giggle every time Brock made a joke now sat quietly, didn't even look his way. When the teacher called on her, her voice sounded small. Jordan wasn't sure what to make of it. He didn't want pity. He didn't want applause. All he wanted was for people to stop pretending they didn't see what was happening. But Brock Simmons wasn't done pretending. It started small again. A shoulder bump in the hallway. A smirk in the locker room. Then came the murmurs. "Watch your back." "He's not done." Brock's got something planned. Jordan ignored them. Or tried to, but his instincts were sharper now. Reggie's voice stayed in his head like a second heartbeat. Stay calm. Stay ready. That afternoon, Mr. Langston, the assistant principal, pulled Jordan into his office. "District hearing is set for Thursday," he said. "You'll be able to bring someone with you, parent or guardian." Jordan nodded. "Malik's coming." Langston hesitated. "You should know, Brock has filed a formal complaint. Claims you targeted him. Says he feels unsafe." Jordan stared at him. "He ambushed me behind the gym." "We're aware," Langston replied, "but perception matters here." "No," Jordan said firmly. "Truth matters. That's what we're supposed to be teaching here, right?" Langston didn't respond, just passed him the notice. After school, Jordan found Malik in the garage, arms deep under the hood of an old Buick. "They're pushing it to a hearing," Jordan said. Malik wiped his hands and leaned against the car. "You ready for that?" "I think so. I've got statements, video, even a witness now." "Doesn't mean they'll listen." Jordan let the words sit. Then he said, "Delaney's testifying." Malik raised an eyebrow. "The sketchbook girl," Jordan nodded. "Said she saw the whole thing." "Well," Malik said, reaching for a wrench, "sometimes it takes the quiet ones to shake the room." That night, Jordan couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, thoughts chasing themselves in circles. What if it didn't matter? What if the hearing wasn't about right or wrong, but about keeping things clean and easy? The next morning, Ms. Alvarez, the guidance counselor, stopped him in the hallway. "Can I talk to you for a second?" she asked gently. He followed her into her office. A soft lamp glowed in the corner. There were plants on the windowsill and a bowl of peppermint candy on her desk. "I just wanted to check in," she said. "How are you doing?" "Really?" Jordan shrugged. "I'm not sure how to answer that." "You don't have to be okay right now," she said. "I just want to make sure you're not carrying this alone." Jordan studied her face. She meant it, but he didn't know how to unpack what he felt, so he said what he could. "I didn't come here to start trouble. I just wanted to finish school." "And you still can," she said. "But you've got to hold on through the noise." He stood to leave. Just before stepping out, he asked, "Do you think I belong here?" She didn't flinch. "I think this school would be lucky to have more kids like you." On Thursday, Jordan showed up at the district office in a navy button-down and black slacks. Malik wore a gray blazer over his best jeans. The waiting room smelled like fresh paper and coffee that had been sitting too long. Inside the hearing room, the panel sat across from them. 3 members, all serious faces and quiet pens. Principal O'Hara sat stiffly at the side. Brock wasn't present, but his written statement was. So was the video. Delaney Foster sat beside them, nervously fidgeting with the zipper on her jacket. She looked like she wanted to vanish, but when the time came to speak, she leaned into the mic. "I saw what happened," she said. "They surrounded him. Logan pushed first. Jordan told them to back off. He tried to walk away." Her voice trembled, but her words didn't. "I didn't say anything at first because I was scared, but silence can be worse than a lie." One of the board members asked her, "Are you absolutely certain about what you saw?" She met their gaze. "Yes, I'm certain." When Jordan's turn came, he didn't read from notes. He looked them all in the eye. "I didn't choose to fight," he said, "but I wasn't going to let them corner me and walk away like it didn't happen. I defended myself because no one else would." Malik spoke next, calm, firm. "My nephew isn't just some hot-headed kid from the wrong side of town. He's a young man who knows how to stand tall, even when the world leans on him." Afterward, they were told the decision would be announced within 48 hours. Walking out into the parking lot, Jordan exhaled a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "You think it'll be enough?" he asked Malik. Malik looked up at the sky. "Sometimes truth ain't about being enough. It's about refusing to let a lie live longer than it should." Jordan nodded. Whatever came next, he'd be ready. By Friday morning, the tension inside Willow Creek High was thick enough to choke on. Everyone knew a decision was coming, and while most students pretended not to care, their eyes followed Jordan like shadows. He wasn't just the new kid anymore. He was the kid with a story, the one who stood up, the one they couldn't quite figure out. He walked the halls with quiet confidence, chin up, shoulders squared. Not because he felt brave, but because if he let himself shrink even a little, the walls would close in. In second period, Ms. Henderson paused her lesson to say, "Before we begin today, I want to remind everyone that this classroom is a space for respect, for everyone." Jordan looked up. Her eyes flicked toward him for just a second. Subtle, but it landed. He was halfway through his lunch in the back of the cafeteria when it happened. A loud voice cut through the usual noise. "Well, well, look who's still here." Jordan turned slowly. Brock Simmons stood in the middle of the cafeteria, flanked by his usual crew, Logan to his left, Ty just a step behind. A few heads turned, some phones quietly tilted in their direction. Jordan didn't move. "You want to say something, Brock? Say it." Brock's smirk widened. "Just wondering how long the school's gonna keep protecting a thug." Jordan stood, tray in hand. "Is that what I am now?" Brock shrugged. "You tell me. Everybody's seen the footage. Real neat how it cuts just before you snap. I didn't snap. I defended myself. Against you. Call it whatever you want, Brock said. You don't belong here. A hush fell across the room. From behind Brock, someone muttered, "This again." Jordan didn't even blink. You don't get to decide who belongs. Oh, I think I do, Brock shot back. This school's been fine without you. You bring drama. You bring problems. You think just because you throw a punch like a movie hero, we're supposed to respect you? No, Jordan said, voice calm. You're supposed to leave people alone when they're not bothering you. Brock's jaw clenched. You think you're special? Number. But I do think you're scared. That was the line that cracked the room. Not laughter, not gasps, just silence. Heavy and still, scared. Brock took one step forward, but before he could speak again, the doors at the back of the cafeteria opened, and Mr. Langston entered, walking with purpose. He scanned the scene, eyes sharp, landing squarely on Brock. Everything okay here? Brock stepped back, hands up. Just talking. Langston didn't buy it. You can finish that conversation in my office. Now. Brock hesitated, then stomped past Jordan, shoulders tight. Logan followed silently. Ty hung back a second, made eye contact with Jordan, then looked away. Langston turned to Jordan. You good? Jordan nodded. Yeah. The assistant principal studied him for a beat longer. If anything happens outside that door, you let me know. Jordan sat back down, pulse finally starting to slow. The lunchroom buzzed again, but the energy had changed. A few students glanced his way, not with fear, but with something closer to understanding. After school, Jordan met Malik in the garage. The air smelled like oil and old rubber. He was under the hood of a rusted-out Dodge, humming something Jordan didn't recognize. Malik wiped his hands on a towel. I heard about the cafeteria. Jordan shrugged. Brock's not done. Nope, and he won't be. Not until he's embarrassed himself trying to make you look like the problem. Jordan sat on the stool by the workbench. I called him scared. Malik raised an eyebrow. That true? Jordan thought for a second. Yeah, but not the kind of scared you see in the movies. He's scared of being ordinary, of not being the center anymore. Malik chuckled. You figured that out quick. I've seen his type before. There was a long pause, then Malik said, You've got the hearing results tomorrow. Don't let today throw you off. You spoke the truth. You had a witness. That matters. Jordan nodded. I just want to be done with all of it. Justice don't always move fast, kid. Sometimes it drags. But it gets there. The next morning, Jordan woke up before sunrise. He couldn't eat. Couldn't sit still. He paced his room, stared at his phone, reread the notes Malik had helped him prepare, statements, timestamps, everything. At 10:14 a.m., the email arrived. Subject, Administrative Hearing Decision. He opened it with hands that didn't feel like his own. After thorough review of all submitted evidence and witness testimony, the board has concluded that Jordan Tolliver acted in self-defense. No disciplinary action will be taken. Case closed. Jordan exhaled so hard he had to sit down. Malik peeked into his room, already holding 2 mugs of coffee. Well, he asked. Jordan turned the screen toward him. Malik read it, nodded, and handed him the coffee. Told you. Later that afternoon, Jordan walked to the park just beyond the edge of the neighborhood. He sat on the swings like he used to when he was younger, letting the cold wind cut across his face, not smiling, not crying, just breathing. He wasn't naive. He knew Brock would keep poking, knew the whispers wouldn't stop overnight. But he'd taken the hit. He'd stayed standing, and they hadn't broken him. When he got home, there was a message from Ms. Alvarez. Just wanted to say congratulations. I hope this feels like a step forward. If you ever want to talk, my door's open. Jordan stared at the message for a long moment. Then he typed back, "Thanks. Not done fighting. But I'm not fighting alone anymore." Jordan had thought that once the hearing was over and the decision came down in his favor, things would finally settle. But the truth? Things didn't settle. They simmered. The school didn't explode in cheers or celebration. No apology banners, no public acknowledgement. Just an awkward silence that filled the hallways like fog. By Monday morning, Jordan noticed the shift. It wasn't the stares that got to him anymore. It was the lack of eye contact. The way people moved around him like he was a walking headline. A few students nodded at him in the halls, subtle signs of support. But for the most part, the building stayed cold. Brock was quieter now, but not gone. That much was clear. In history class, the teacher passed out essays and praised a few students aloud for their work. When he got to Jordan, he placed the paper face down on his desk without a word. Jordan flipped it. B+. Not bad, but he could read between lines. No feedback, no comment, no acknowledgement. Later, during lunch, Jordan sat alone again. But today, something changed. He was halfway through his sandwich when someone slid into the seat across from him. It was Delaney Foster, the girl who testified at the hearing. The one who didn't owe him anything but showed up anyway. She dropped her tray, opened her thermos, and started unpacking like it was the most natural thing in the world. Jordan stared for a second. "You sure you want to sit here?" She raised an eyebrow. "You dangerous or something?" He cracked a small smile. "That's what some people think." "I'm not some people," she said, popping open a container of strawberries. "Besides, it's a cafeteria, not a crime scene." That was the first real laugh Jordan had let out in weeks. Not loud, but real. They ate mostly in silence, and that was fine. Jordan had learned not all silence was bad. Some silences held comfort. "Can I ask you something?" he said eventually. She looked up. "Sure. Why did you speak up? You could have stayed out of it." Delaney didn't answer right away. She swirled her fork in her pasta. "Because I've been quiet too many times before, watched stuff happen and just told myself it wasn't my business. But when I saw what they were doing to you, how you handled it, I knew if I didn't say something this time, I'd be part of it." Jordan nodded slowly. "That meant more than you probably know." "I figured," she said softly. "That's why I came back to this table." They finished lunch. No more words needed. After school, Ms. Alvarez found Jordan in the hallway. She waved him into her classroom. "I'm putting together a student-led panel next week," she said. "A discussion about conflict, accountability, how schools handle fights. You'd have the chance to tell your side of the story, not as a defense, just truth." Jordan hesitated. "You think people even want to hear it?" "I think people need to." He didn't answer right away. Then he nodded. That evening, Jordan was back in the garage with Malik. The boxing bag hung still in the corner, untouched. "You didn't hit it today," Malik said, tossing a wrench onto the tool bench. "I didn't feel like swinging. That's a good thing, you know." Jordan leaned against the counter. "Delaney sat with me at lunch." Malik raised an eyebrow. "That the girl who testified?" "Yeah," he nodded. "People show you who they are when it matters." "I just keep thinking, if she hadn't said anything, none of this would have mattered. My word wasn't enough." "That's not about you," Malik said. "That's about the system. You're not the problem. But you're part of the proof now." Jordan exhaled. "It's just crazy. I did the right thing. Didn't throw the first punch, told the truth. And still, I'm the one they watch." "That's how it goes sometimes," Malik said. "But listen, there's a difference between being watched and being seen. The first feels like pressure. The second, power." Jordan let that sit. On Wednesday morning, the principal made an announcement over the intercom. Next Thursday, we will hold an open student forum about peer behavior and school climate. All students are welcome to attend. That was it. No mention of names, no real context. But the message rang clear. By lunch, the buzz had already started. Some students speculated that Jordan would be one of the speakers. Others rolled their eyes. A few claimed the school was just doing damage control. Delaney found Jordan by the lockers. "You gonna speak?" "Yeah." "You nervous?" He nodded. "Yeah, but I'm still gonna do it." She smiled. "Good." As she turned to leave, Brock rounded the corner, walking fast, his eyes locked on Jordan. But this time he didn't sneer, didn't throw a cheap insult. He just muttered, "This isn't over." Jordan didn't flinch. "Number, but you're not the one who decides when it is." For the first time since that fight behind the gym, Brock blinked and walked away without another word. That night, Jordan sat on his bed, phone in hand, scrolling through the notes he'd been writing for the forum. He read them over and over, deleting half of what he typed, rewriting others. Eventually, he looked out the window, into the darkness, and whispered to himself, "They came at me loud. I responded calm. And maybe that's what really scared them. Because power isn't always about volume. Sometimes it's the silence that holds, and the strength to break it. The day of the student forum started with a slow-burning tension that buzzed beneath the surface at Lincoln High. You could feel it in the way people whispered by the lockers, in the way the teachers stood just a little taller, trying to maintain some control before the room filled up. The auditorium had never seen this many students packed in since the last homecoming pep rally. But this was no celebration. This was something else. Jordan stood backstage, fidgeting with the sleeves of his gray hoodie. His palms were damp. His heart beat like a drum roll under his ribs. Malik had dropped him off that morning, clapped him on the shoulder, and said, "Use your voice like your fists, clean, sharp, and unshakable." He kept hearing that in his head. Use your voice. The other student speakers went first. A junior named Priya spoke about cliques and exclusion. A sophomore named Mateo talked about witnessing verbal bullying in the locker room and doing nothing. They were honest, a little nervous, but brave. Then Principal Harris stepped up to the mic. "Our final speaker today is Jordan Brooks. Some of you think you know his story. Now you'll hear it from him." There was a pause, a shuffle in the crowd. Jordan walked out slowly, scanning the sea of faces, some curious, some indifferent, a few smirking. He gripped the mic. No paper, no script. "My name's Jordan Brooks," he began, voice steady. "I transferred here a few months ago. Some of you know me as that new kid from Detroit. Some of you know me as the guy from the fight." He let that land. A few students leaned forward. "I didn't start that fight, but I finished it. And since then, people have looked at me like I'm a problem, like I'm just waiting to explode." He took a breath, eyes locking on the front row where Delaney sat, her hands clasped in her lap. "But here's what you don't know. I didn't throw the first punch because I've been taught not to. I didn't swing until I had no other choice. That's called restraint. That's called control." Someone in the back muttered something. Jordan didn't flinch. "See, what scares people isn't the noise. It's the silence. It's someone who doesn't play the game, who doesn't react the way they expect. That's what made me a target." He paused, let the weight of those words settle. "I didn't come here to be a fighter. I came to graduate. I came to earn something. Respect, maybe. Or just peace." He looked down for a second, then back up. "But I also know that silence can't protect you forever. So I'm saying this now, not for sympathy, not to play the victim, but because I refuse to carry someone else's version of my story." The room was quiet. So quiet you could hear a cough from the balcony. "I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've been angry. But I've also held back more than anyone here knows, and if that makes people uncomfortable, then maybe we need to ask why." He stepped back. The mic clicked off. Silence. Then came the claps. Not wild, not forced, but real. A few students stood, then more, even a couple of teachers. When he walked off stage, Delaney was the first one waiting. "You killed that," she whispered. He exhaled. "Felt like jumping out of a plane," she smiled. "You landed on your feet." In the hallway afterward, the crowd buzzed with talk. Some students who'd never spoken to Jordan gave him nods. One freshman asked if he could sit with him at lunch. Jordan didn't say yes or no. He just smiled. But not everyone was impressed. Brock lingered near the lockers, arms crossed, face tight. "Nice speech," he muttered when Jordan passed. "Bet you practiced that line about restraint." Jordan didn't stop walking. "I don't have to practice what's true." Brock's jaw flexed. "You think people believe you now? You think this changes anything?" Jordan turned just slightly. I think it starts something." Brock scoffed, but he didn't reply. Later that afternoon, in gym class, Coach Daniels called Jordan over. "Tomorrow we're starting boxing conditioning. You interested?" Jordan blinked. "For what?" "Discipline, leadership. You've got the respect. Time to show them what you can do with it." He didn't answer right away. Then he nodded. "Yeah, I'm in." At home that night, Malik handed Jordan a folded sheet of paper. "What's this?" "Your uncle sent it. Said it was your dad's. He wrote it when he was about your age." Jordan opened it. Scrawled in blue ink were 4 lines. "Strength isn't in the swing. It's in the silence you master, not the hit that lands. But the moment you choose not to throw it." Jordan read it twice, then tucked it into the front pocket of his hoodie. Because sometimes fighting back wasn't about fists. Sometimes it was about standing tall when everyone expected you to fall. And in that, he'd already won. The final week of the semester brought a strange kind of peace to Lincoln High. Not silence exactly, but a quiet recalibration. It wasn't that people had changed overnight. They hadn't. Some still gave Jordan side glances in the halls, unsure what box to put him in. Some avoided him altogether, like proximity might invite confrontation. But others, teachers, students, even staff, had begun to see him differently. Not as a threat, not as a headline, but as a person. On Monday, when Jordan entered the cafeteria, the room didn't freeze like it used to. A few kids nodded. A few smiled. He sat at his usual table in the back, tray balanced on one hand. He'd just taken a bite of his sandwich when a voice asked, "Mind if I sit here?" He looked up. It was Elijah, a sophomore who used to hang around with Ty and Logan. Jordan raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" Elijah shrugged. "People say what they want. I saw what happened behind the gym." "You didn't go looking for trouble?" Jordan paused, then motioned toward the seat across from him. "Suit yourself." They ate mostly in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. At one point, Elijah said, "My cousin's in a situation like that. Gets messed with all the time at his school, but he's never fought back. Says it's not worth it." Jordan looked up. "It's not always, until it is." That same day, Mr. Connors, the vice principal, stopped him after English class. "We've been reviewing conduct for the end of semester commendations," he said. "Your name came up." Jordan blinked. "For what? Fighting?" Connors gave a tired smile. "For showing leadership, even under pressure, for speaking at the forum, for not becoming the person some expected you to be." Jordan didn't know how to respond to that. He just nodded and kept walking. That evening, Reggie was already home, cooking something that filled the apartment with spice and warmth. Jordan dropped his bag and said, "They want to give me a commendation." Reggie glanced over. You surprised? Jordan smirked. Little bit. Reggie set down the spatula. You've earned it. Not for keeping your fists up, for keeping your head up. They ate together, and for the first time in a long time, the house didn't feel heavy. It felt like something had lifted. But peace has its tests. On Wednesday, a new post made rounds on social media. It was a split screen. One side showed Jordan's speech at the forum, the other showed a blurry screenshot of the fight. The caption read, "Which one is real?" It didn't go viral, but it circulated enough. Jordan didn't post anything in response. He didn't need to, because the next day something else happened. Logan found him outside the school gym, alone. I didn't post that, Logan said, his voice low. I know, Jordan replied. There was a pause. You broke my fall more than you needed to, Logan said. Jordan looked at him surprised. What? You caught my arm on the way down. I noticed later. You didn't have to do that. Jordan stayed quiet for a moment, then said, Didn't want to hurt you, just stop you. Logan scratched the back of his neck. I told the principal that. Figured it was time. Then he walked off, not waiting for a reply. Friday came fast. The commendation assembly took place in the same auditorium where the forum had been held. Jordan didn't want to speak again. He just wanted to sit in the back and fade into the walls. But when his name was called, the applause wasn't awkward. It wasn't unsure. It was real. He stepped onto the stage, nodded toward the crowd, and accepted the certificate. No speech, no drama, just presence. Afterward, in the hallway, Delaney caught up to him. I'm working on a new piece, she said, for the school paper. About what? About narratives, she replied. How easy it is for people to shape a story around fear. Jordan tilted his head. You quoting someone? Nope, just learning. They walked together for a bit before she peeled off toward her art class. Outside, the air was crisp. Winter had started to melt into spring. And Jordan, standing on the steps of the school, the sound of distant laughter and backpacks zipping behind him, felt something new. Not victory, not vindication, just clarity. This was his school now. He didn't need to fight to prove that anymore, but if he ever had to again, he wouldn't hesitate. Because sometimes strength isn't in the silence. It's in what you choose to do when the world expects you to break. As he walked down the front steps, a younger student jogged up. Hey, the kid said, out of breath. You got a minute? Jordan stopped. What's up? My brother. He's going through it. Different school, but same kind of stuff. You think you could talk to him? Jordan looked the kid in the eye. Yeah, I can do that. He slung his backpack over one shoulder and kept walking, the kid trailing beside him like a shadow in training. Because every story has a ripple, and maybe this one, just maybe, was the beginning of something bigger. If this story moved you, even a little, don't forget to subscribe. We've got more stories like this. Stories that remind us that standing tall isn't about size. It's about spirit.